Okay, so this is rough draft week. And so we do things a little bit differently on rough draft weeks. And so what's going to happen is by Wednesday, you should have uploaded your rough draft, essentially. No need to comment or anything like that on any readings that will be assigned or have been assigned unless I specifically say so. For our first two papers in English 112, as you know, my light is not working very well right now, so just kind of bear with me. But as you know, in our first two papers, you have rough draft cycles. And so I usually try to dedicate an entire week to it, so that way you have plenty of time. Now, when we get to papers 3 and 4, we don't have rough draft cycles, but I will open up a thread to where if you wanted to solicit other people's rough drafts in exchange for looking over theirs, that would be perfectly fine. But we don't need to worry about that right now. So right now, all you have to do is have your rough draft uploaded by Wednesday at midnight, as usual, and then 2 responses that are pretty helpful to your person by Friday. And the sooner the better, so that they can turn those around and have all of the final drafts submitted on Turn It In by Saturday at midnight for paper number 1. If you hadn't had the opportunity to view the poetry presentation, paper presentation, poetry, whatever, make sure that you've done that. And also just kind of keep in mind that you have to craft an argument, okay? So even though I say in the assignment, that you should follow a theme, that theme is fine, but you have to make sure that you're hitting an argument. So saying something like, Robert Frost examines nature in these 3 poems is not quite an argument. It's more of a statement of fact. So what you could say is Robert Frost examines nature in these 3 poems, and that was informed by his childhood in California. Okay, so then it becomes an argument. So if you think about a theme, that should really be your starting point for crafting a bigger, more effective argument. And so remember, and I say this in the presentation several times as well, you really shouldn't be thinking about taking like entire chunks of a poem. And again, I've had students that have taken pretty much the entire poem and put it in the middle of the paper. And that's not what you need to do. You need to pull out pieces of the poem that suit what you're trying to do. And so really that's the only thing that you need to focus on this week, writing your paper, the rough draft version of it, and then looking at 2 other people's papers and giving them comments that are helpful. I'm not going to count it if you're just like, this is a perfect paper, I've got nothing to say. That's not going to count. And so make sure that you have some ideas to help them out, that their argument is sound, that maybe if you're writing about the same author, you discovered this source, grammar issues, formatting issues, all of the above, okay? All the things that I'm going to be grading on, you should be taking a look at as well as you think about looking at somebody else's rough draft. So that's the process for this week. Rough draft week is kind of unique, but that's pretty much it for now. So otherwise, I look forward to reading your final drafts. My camera is not working so well either. And so then hopefully I'll have those graded and turned around within 2 or 3 days. Wanted to know about the rough drafts. I see those too. So if you have a rough draft and people are making good corrections on them, and again, I leave it up to you and your judgment as to whether or not you want to adopt a particular idea that somebody else has given to you. But if I take a look at the rough draft and then nothing's changed when you submit it to turnitin.com, then there's going to be some issues, basically, because the rough draft is not a final draft. Your rough draft should change substantially in between iterations from rough to final drafts. Other than that, that's all I have for this week. Good luck with the rough draft. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.